Come here, little fella. I want to tell you a secret. I'm just like you. We're both down
Hi YouTube, say hi to YouTube people, because I feel like this is gonna be great to go on YouTube. I'm not gonna lie.
Fighting in traffic.
Hell yeah, hey chat, say hi to YouTube.
I'm fighting charges of
Hell yeah.
traffic. We're so similar. You're working a 9-to-5 job, and
yes.
I
think a lot of you know this now. I have a YouTube channel.
We're
so,
both going through it. So don't hate me. I'm not the problem. It's the wine snobs. They're the ones that look down on you. And frankly, I don't blame them.
Oh,
no.
How can you do this?
He's learning.
Who's learning?
Listen,
are you learning?
Let me pull you up by your bootstraps.
Oh my god, thank you so much.
What if I made you my little Pygmalion? That's a reference that you wouldn't get. You know what? Perhaps I shall make a series of videos that will give you some sort of clue about...
Hey Sandwich, you are now witnessing the glorious Internet Historian video. If you never watched Internet Historian video, now you shall be inaugurated with too fancy, too furious wine.
About fancy things. Yes, that's what I'll do. Something to give you just enough information to bluff your way through a fancy dinner.
Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa?
Somebody had to hold open the gates for the barbarians.
You're charged for traffic. There are
so let's do it.
Gazillion kids in your basement. Sheesh.
Wine.
Wine.
The Mountain Dew of upper society. With wine...
You know what? That's actually a very good way of saying it. I am not a wine drinker. I can drink wine, but like, do I really like wine? Nah, I'm a cocktail drinker.
There is only one rule. Kill or be killed.
Damn! Oh, sheesh!
And if you want to survive the night, here are 6 things you should know about wine.
Okay.
To you muggles, the words on these bottles must seem like a mystery.
Pie not no ire?
Dude, I have no idea about like all these like fucking wine names, alright? Like my dad was also used to be a heavy wine drinker himself. Like he used to drink a lot of alcohol, so he would buy like a lot of wine and store it in the fridge. And I would look at all these wines name and like all these like French ass name and whatever. And I'm just like, huh? How do you even pronounce this, Dad? And he was like, oh yeah, this is a good wine. You know, this type of wine from like the 1950s. And I'm like, okay. I don't get wines, man. I do not get wines at all.
But us landlords, we, the pink Himalayan salt of the earth, we know what they mean. They are grape names. Oh? Look upon this grapevine. It makes grape berries. Now, there are many different species of grape berry.
Oh yeah, obviously.
And whatever the berry species is will determine the type of wine. This is Chardonnay, so it will make Chardonnay. Merlot grapes, they make Merlot wine.
Okay.
Grape names are mostly French. Gross. But for example, in English, Pinot Noir means black pine, because it kinda looks like a black pine.
Oh my god, chat, now I'm knowing so much more about wine than I ever had in 30 years. I am not even kidding.
Pine cone, if you squint. Here's some of the other names. You can pause it. I'm busy. Wine grapes are not like the kind you get at the supermarket. Those are table grapes. You can think of it kind of like the difference between cooking chocolate and
30? Yeah. I'm like 31 now.
But they're overly sugary and kind of full of seeds.
I'm old, bro. I am ready to be in the grave.
Word on the bottle. But sometimes there are other words as well. For example, this Bourgogne. What the hell is a Chablis? It's all regions. Allow me to explain through the medium of song. There's Chianti and Piedmont, also there's Burgundy. Don't forget Chablis Bordeaux. This one's from Italy, this one's from Italy, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France, this one's from France. They're all from France. We're Italy. Look, the general rule is, if you see a term you don't understand, it's probably just the French or the Italians being all la-dee-da about...
Damn, you know what? I can get from it. I get behind it.
Their particular region. All right, let's move on to price. Come on, I know a place.
Okay, now you guys know how old I am. Do you guys feel a little bit disgusted? Oh my god, I'm actually watching a fucking old man behind an anime avatar? Yeah, that's satire. No, right? Yeah.
We're here. I can tell by the name on the sign. Now, don't embarrass me, I didn't bring my ID. Fiddle-TD, look at all these bottles. So many options. Ooh, a cheeky $200 bottle. And here, oh, a $20 bottle. Now, I bet this $200 bottle tastes way better, right? Like it's
I don't know. I can't fucking tell a difference between $200 and $20, man.
got to be 10 times better than this one. That's just basic math. Go on, though. You choose one. Oh, no. Well, it was supposed to be a trick question, but they both taste pretty similar, right? There's not some threshold that you get to where it gets more expensive, and then it tastes better, and then more expensive again, and it tastes even better, until it gets so expensive and so incredible that it's like nothing you've ever had before. Break through the conditioning. This is just old grape juice. Now,
For
if you're a
instance,
little
from France, yep.
curious about a more expensive bottle,
I'm 30. Yeah, can you imagine some old fuck is being a VTuber, pretending to be an anime boy on the internet? Can't be me!
sure, why not?
Gold letters grace the label, hand engraved by goldsmiths. Famed wine critics described the taste as mind-boggling.
But realistically, after about $60, the flavor doesn't get much better. In fact, it plateaus out and it can even go down. The best quality to price ratio is all the way over here, much lower, about 20 bucks. That's how much you should spend on a bottle of wine. Now, some
True, because I can imagine myself ever spending more than like 50, no, maybe even 30 on just a bottle of beverage of some kind. I'm like, boy, if I had to spend $100 on any kind of drink, that thing better be made out of gold, okay?
people will say,
that I'm putting my heart and soul into this thing. I'm making a form of art. How much is that worth? How much is art worth?
about 20 bucks. Ah, but what about
Okay, well. Obviously, art is not always to be worth 20 bucks. But I get what he's saying. He's memeing.
the vintage? Whoa, look at this. A couple of cromulent slender necks. And they're the same price as well. But this one is from 2019, and this one is from 2022. Well, surely the older one is the better one, right?
Yeah.
Many people think that the wine aging goes like this, and the flavor just keeps getting better over time. Wrong.
Oh, no
The
way.
wine at the store has already been aged at the winery. I don't need to be more aged by sitting on this shelf and just collecting dust, or spending years at the back of your pantry at home. If I'm for sale, I'm ready to be consumed. I'm ready to have your hot lips wrapped around me. In fact, the general rule goes a corked bottle should be drunk within 5 years, and a capped bottle within 1 year.
Huh.
Come, there's more.
I have never known that. Oh my god, dude. I'm thinking about like some of the wines that I kept bottle, and I kept them for like, I don't know, like 2 years in my fridge. That's not a good idea, isn't it?
Let's pretend I am a waiter at a restaurant. You happen to be wearing a shirt, and so I have mistaken you as a paying customer. As a waiter, the first thing I will press you about will be food pairings.
Okay.
White wine with fish? A Merlot with pork? Well, kid, I'm gonna have to pair this truth nugget with something you don't want to hear. The food pairing doesn't really matter. It's all completely subjective.
I don't get it either. I'm like, dude, it's just, how does food has anything to do with making a wine taste better? I never understood that part either. And honestly, it literally is just trying to be fancier, you know? Let's all be
It's
honest.
cuisine by horoscope. It's food astrology. Pay no attention to the sommeliers in the comment section. They are bullshitting to upsell.
Get the more expensive one. It goes better with the spaghetti.
I just
Or
imagine it being
they are a
that
Pisces
scene
and
in
you shouldn't trust their
Ratatouille.
opinion
Which scene
anyway.
you talking about?
Something else to expect at a restaurant? Expect to get ripped off by the markup.
Oh, 100%. Oh my god, dude. These fine dining restaurants? Fuck them. Why the fuck would I want to go to these restaurants? I could just go to like a fucking steakhouse. A normal steakhouse. A yakiniku place. Izakaya. They make great food. I don't need to go to a fucking like fancy like dining place in hotels and shit. The only thing that's actually good for going there is for the lamb chop, and that's about it.
Restaurants add a 250 to 300% markup on their wine. And the cheaper the bottle, the higher the proportional markup tends to be. So a $20 bottle will turn into an $80 bottle.
Ew!
But a $100 bottle may only rise to $150.
Just look at this for a moment. This is gross. Dude, fuck fine dining restaurant. Thank you so much, Internet Historian, for enlightening me more about this. I actually didn't know about this whole markup shit. I'm like, oh my god, this? Dude, fuck fine dining.
Most people get the second cheapest bottle on the menu, regardless of the pairing, and that'll do just fine. And that's it. No more tips. Unless you want to leave me one. Actually, you know what? I got a fucking tip for you, mate. Ad time. I bet you're wondering how I got this cog in my knee.
So you never get wine? Yeah.
It's because I became the face of Incogni, the service that helps you be forgotten on the internet. I used to be a humble florist. One day we received a shipment
the historian
of
ad is so good.
forget-me-nots. But inexplicably I fell in and ate a bunch
You know how, like, it's good when the guy who's actually doing the ad himself can't even hold his own laughter.
of them. I forgot everything that day. My address, my web browsing habits, where I worked, what my child's face looked like. I was supposed to pick him up from daycare, so that was kind of embarrassing. I just picked one of the kids that kind of looks like me.
Oui, monsieur.
Close enough. Have you ever signed up for some dodgy website? Have you ever dodged up for a legitimate website and they sell all your details onto a dodgy website? That's where I come in. Incogni man. And a nonna boy.
Je n'ai pas les anglais pas.
There are data miners out there, data collectors, creating big servers all around the world. They take your name, your address, and your IP, and together they make a big profile, and that lives forever. I am here to send them annoying legal notices to tell them to fuck off.
Hell yeah, do it.
Steve, off your database. European law this, American law that. Incogni.com/internet store to get 60% off an annual plan. The cog signal. I swoop into the data centers. Legal notice. Tangle up their processes with admin. Who are you? I don't know. Oh, wait a minute. Incogni Nam. Go to incogni.com/internet historian. Ah, Incogni man. Remember me?
Oh my
Yes.
god, it's Nordman.
No. Who's the kid?
Je suis très affamé, monsieur, s'il vous plaît.
Whoa, that's a good deal. Ad over. Welcome to the Wine Underground. We have our meetings here because it stays at a very pleasant temperature. You
Oh, yeah, wine cellars
us
are pretty cool.
winemasons, we control everything. We are few, but many. That doesn't make sense. Look at the back of this bottle. See the No Fat Chicks logo? We put that there. It is the symbol of our organization. We have a
What?
dirty finger in every glass of government and corporation stuff.
Ew.
If you cross us, whoops, perhaps you'll have a little accident. Last year, Little Upstart tried to make wine actually taste good. You know, like how grape soda does. cut him up so good he had to get stitches. We caught one reporter trying to dig around into our operations. We all know how that one ended. With an airstrike. All right, my little juice box. I'm going to let you in on a secret. Why is champagne called champagne? Well,
True. What is the difference between champagne and wine? Anyway, I never understood it.
I'll tell you. It all began in 1668. In the Abbey of St. Peter in northeast France, there's something spooky going on. It's springtime, and in the cellar where they keep all the wine, bottles would suddenly, unexpectedly, explode. Now, this was especially common during morning mass. Ho ho, that's a bad omen. Sometimes the explosions would cause little chain reactions, and bottle after bottle would break down the line, ruining the majority of the crop. The peasants were frightened and also parched.
Sacre Bleu, lay wine. What is happening?
The monks would refer to this as the devil's wine.
Le wine is cursed.
Le God, he must be angry at us. We need a hero.
In walks Dom Perignon. He is just the man for the job. A Benedictine monk at the abbey. He's got a new role, the cellar master. And it's his mission to find out what the hell is going on here. So Dom starts looking at all the bottles. And what he figures out pretty quickly is that the wine itself is releasing gas. The gas builds up pressure and... why that is happening, he doesn't know. But it's his job to stop it. So he gets to work, trying all sorts of things to stop his mortal enemy. The bubbles. In the first year, he tried insisting that only the youngest grapes be picked.
Perhaps this will stop your bubbles.
And it didn't. The next year,
Sacre
he changed
Bleu,
up
the
how
wine,
the grapes were
exactly.
pressed.
Push harder, we'll squeeze out the bubbles.
Son of a bitch. He tried picking the grapes very early in the morning and no other time. Nope. And on and on. The bubbles would win the battle every year. For 8 long years, he tried all sorts of different things.
8 years? Damn, that is dedication
And
right
no
there.
strategy worked. No, the bubbles. Eventually, he was at the point of almost giving up. Until one day, hey, what if the wine is still fermenting? So he takes a couple of the bottles and he opens them and, it is. We ferment the wine. Once it's done, it goes into the bottle. How does it then start fermenting again? How is that possible? And here the mystery was solved. So it turns out in North France they have very fast changing seasons. And owing to that, the yeast doesn't actually get time to do its job. Instead, it would get cold very quickly in the winter and all the yeast would go dormant. Then the winemakers would go, oh brilliant, fermentation slowed down, it must be done. They would then bottle it and they would store it. But once summer came back around, the process would spring back to life and carbon dioxide would build up and... Oh, he thinks, I cannot change the climate. Perhaps I shall not win the war against the bubbles. Now, the bubbles are his enemy and he has another enemy. The English. Therefore, the enemy of his enemy or something. Anyway, he starts talking to them.
It's always the British. It's always the British. The save the Queen. The save the Queen country. Yeah, it's always them. Rah.
Hey, how do you guys stop your bottles from exploding?
I'm sorry, but like when the British shit, I'm like, I'm just laughing.
And the British go,
You what, mate? Cool. We'll peep at how thin the bloody glass be in it. Thin glass is the problem. Thank you for using this test-to-speech preview. For a paid version, please go to...
See, the English have created new coal-fired bottles with much thicker glass. Ooh. Then they put a cork in the top, and it allows them to make very foamy beer. That's right, he could just use thicker bottles and he won't have to worry about stopping the bubbles at all. So Dom goes running back to France. He's panting, he's sweating, and there's bits of brie on his shirt. He's going, better bottles, better bottles. Everyone's confused and terrified, but they give it a shot. And there it was. The people of France loved it.
I love this new style.
The damn British is a self-made economy. Why use your own resources when India exists?
Even the French royals were enjoying new wine, TM. He even started adding extra yeast and sugar to really get the bubbles going. And so Dom Perignon had created what we call today champagne. Now, there's a 19th century marketing campaign that says the moment he uncorked his champagne for the first time, he tried it and said, come quickly, I am tasting the stars. But that's actually a myth. He never
You're
really
from
said
India.
that. But there's still a problem. And this
Dude, in all honesty, like the British Empire screwed on a lot of countries over, so you're not alone, man. You're not alone.
one Dom cannot fix. The pulp. If you bottle wine while it's still fermenting, so that you can keep the bubbles in, you're also trapping in a bunch of dead yeast and debris and gross particles too. Also, it's all cloudy. No, we want it clear. We want it crystal looking. How will we ever solve this problem? Dom dies. 1805, in walks Madame Clicquot. She's just the man for the job.
I'm also French. I have come to remove all the little beets. I will clench my teeth together and go pitu back into the bottle.
Now, Madame Clicquot was a very shrewd lady. Her husband died when she was in her early 20s.
My husband is dead. Lol.
And part of the estate she was bequeathed included a winery. She immediately got to work, making it into a successful business.
I shall invent a process called lay riddling.
Here's what you do, right? You put these bottles on a rack at a 35-degree angle with the top facing down. Every 2 days, she would give the bottle a little shake and slightly increase the angle. After 8 to 10 weeks, all of the sediment would come to rest in the neck of the bottle. Right, quick tangent. Did you know that when you increase the salt concentration in water, you can drop its temperature down much lower without it freezing? Tangent over. So she takes this sub-zero salt water and dips the neck of the bottle in there, then lets it sit until the neck freezes. Now you have a sort of frozen cork filled with all of the gross pulp, and then you simply pop off the top. And the whole thing goes shooting out as a fun prank for your friends and family. Then
That's
they add
really
in a little more
smart.
extra base wine and sugar and leave it to age. And with that, Clicquot has just...
Wow, chemistry from the they said the 80s? Or 17s? The 1917s, yeah. Oh, goddamn.
created a clear, sparkling wine. And that is Ridley. And Madame Clicquot is...
The Riddler.
So Dom Perignon and Madame Clicquot are both credited as the godfather and godmother of champagne. Today, the Dom and Clique brands are owned by LVMH, the same parent company that owns Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, Tiffany & Co., Hennessy. Actually, pretty much every luxury brand. But why is it called champagne? Well, that's because it comes from the Champagne region, you dummy. And anything else with bubbles is just sparkling wine.
Huh. So champagne is just basically something that is exported from that part of France. Okay.
Oh, it's you. I was just looking out over the sunset. You know how it is. Thinking about stuff that happened in the past. I remember it all too well. It was literally 1984. I was walking home with my parents from the opera.
Come on, keep up.
Don't tell me his parents are gonna get gunned down like Batman.
Let's take a little shortcut.
Wait, isn't this Bruce Wayne?
We were walking down a well-lit alleyway. It was nothing but quaint restaurants and bistros. Then suddenly, a man holding a bottle of Shiraz came out of nowhere. "Just a tipple," he said. I was terrified. I knew nothing about wine. "Go on," he said. My hands were shaking, knees weak, arms heavy. Complex
Arms
aroma,
are sweaty, knees
wouldn't you
weak,
say?
palms spaghetti.
Very good tannins. Oh, really? Yep. What's a tannin? I don't know. My parents died from embarrassment right there on the spot.
Mommy! I'm sorry, Daddy.
Just a tipple.
It's too late for me, but I don't want the same thing to happen to you. That's why we have to learn about how to serve wine.
Oh my god. No, I have. I actually like. The only way I know how to actually serve wine was when I used to like work part time in an izakaya. Was basically like you just gotta make sure you hold the bottle like at the bottom, and then like when you pour the wine and when you're about to fill up the glass, you have to roll the bottle so that so the droplets don't drip down the bottle or something like that, making sure you don't waste any drop of wine. That's all I know. That's literally all I was taught to do. I mean, like, okay, obviously, like, I don't know how to professionally serve wine.
So you've bought a bottle of wine to show your friends and family how successful and sophisticated you are. Did you know that Da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa?
Yes.
So let's go through how to serve the big three. White, red, and champagne. Let's say you've bought champagne. That bottle goes in Champagne is served cold always. To open, peel off the foil and do not aim it at your face.
Yep.
Then twist off the metal thing. If you want people to think you're fancy, use the proper word, muselet.
Muselet.
It helps to contain the pressure. Again, don't aim this thing at your face. It's really worth repeating. The PSI inside a champagne bottle is 70 to 90. That puts it in the same league as a nail gun. So the cork comes out at about 50 miles an hour. And if you're in a house, you want to hold onto it very firmly with your hand. If you're Bezos, or you just won the Grand Prix, fling it over some ladies. But if you want to be really fancy, you can use a sword. This has been a tradition for a couple hundred years, popularized by Napoleon. After each victory, the army would use their sabers to crack one open for the boys. But the sword's just ceremonial. You can use pretty much any blunt object to knock off the top. A phone, a shoe, this fish head. If it's cold, it shouldn't fizz over too much, but you might want to have someone on the side with a ready glass. The glass type should either be a tulip or a flute. Although, if you've seen The Great Gatsby, you may notice that they use these. Up until the mid-1900s, people used...
Dude, I already forgot all the names of the glasses that he actually said. I'm not even gonna kid. I'm like... They're just wine glass.
Coupes. That's because, back in the day, excessive effervescence wasn't very cool. So these cups helped actually dispel the bubbles faster. In fact, sometimes they'd even use a small whisk or a fork to dissipate all the bubbles. Now, there's actually an old myth that the shape and size of the coupe was molded from one of Marie Antoinette's buboes.
Huh?
But it's probably not true.
Alright, you know what? I'm not even going to comment on that. I'm just going to skip that part.
Eventually, bubbles became a fancy feature, so the flute was adopted. They can be made from glass, but preferably they're made from crystal, so that they shimmer as much as possible. And the best flutes would also feature a small rough spot right there at the center of the glass at the bottom to create a sort of tornado of bubbles. Anyway, as you pour, tilt sideways so it isn't all head, and don't pour more than 2/3 full.
That is actually true, by the way. Like, there is something about like pouring like sideways. I think you do that just to make sure that it doesn't froth, right? So that when the champagne or whatnot hits the glass, it doesn't froth.
Done. White wine.
Go all the way.
White wine is best served chilled too. 10 to 15 degrees though, not fridge cold. Use a small glass bowl and pour to about half full. And when you drink, do a little sniff test and, aerate it a bit. Then hold it down low on the stem so your hands don't heat up the liquid. If it's not to your taste, cut it with 50% Sprite and add a few ice cubes. Done.
No way. The second half is capped.
It is served at room temperature. When you first open it, you're
Hey,
supposed
Jelf.
to let it sit for a while to oxidize. That gives it more flavor. Although if you don't want to wait, you can just pour it into a decanter. That does the same thing. To drink from, we want a big bowl on a stick, so you get a full face of the aromas of the great blood. When you pour the thing,
just drink.
fill it about 1/3 full. That's pretty much it. However, when it comes to wine snobbery, red wine snobbery is at the top of the Maslow hierarchy.
Crushed white rock. It's like almost like a rock quarry.
Oh my god, shut up. And there's a taste testing thing that people
isn't
do.
capped?
They'll go a bit
For
mental,
real?
and it's kind of gross, and it looks dumb. But if you think you're ready for the ultimate test, ready to take the one-chip challenge of enology, then here's how you do it. When the waiter comes over, insist on taking a teensy sample. Inspect for color, clarity, and legs. Legs refers to how viscous the wine is. Smell it. Smells like a red wine. Swirl it around on the table, making a loud scratching noise, so that everyone knows you're a connoisseur.
I'll be honest with you, this just seems so obnoxious. This is stupidly obnoxious.
Swirling the wine glass is almost like turning up the volume on the stereo.
When you taste it,
No, I don't. I don't believe in that. That's just you trying to like be obnoxious to be like, hey, look at me, guys. I got red wine. Don't you think I'm a little fancy? Don't you think I'm part of the upper class? It's just wine. Fucking drink it, you little shit.
you're supposed to get it over every part of your mouth, so that when you brush your teeth later, it's awful.
That's the point,
Then
exactly.
Take in big sips of air. This is where you comment on the texture and taste. Complex notes! You yell across the room. Now this is the best part. You can just make shit up about vanilla smatterings or citrusy undercurrents. I swear, there's a hint of blueberry. It's one of those things that's kinda true, but subjective enough that no one can really refute you.
You know what it's like when people say these kind of things? It's like they're trying to pretend that they are a Michelin star chef. Like Gordon Ramsay. Like they know their shit. When in reality, they fucking don't. And they're as clueless as any one of us are when it comes to drinking wine.
So make a big show of it.
There is a little bit of an earthiness, almost a graphite clay note to this.
It's a little bit meaty. It's a little bit sort of rustic.
There are
I'm sorry, but if your drink tastes like graphite or rust, I don't think you should be drinking that.
Definitely hints here of Monster Ultra sugar-free.
Yeah, exactly.
If this is a taste test, and you're sampling dozens of wines,
like graphite,
you want to spit out the sample into this gross bucket, so you don't.
You know what, chat? I think there's a certain type of wine that I will never drink for the rest of my life, just to, you know, show the world that I am not an obnoxious little shit. So I think I know which wine not to drink anymore.
Don't get too drunk. Do not ask the waiter if you can drink from the bucket. It's the waiter's privilege, and he's very protective of it. And that is how to serve wine. Okay, that's a lot of shitting on wine, people.
And we shouldn't get bullied.
But let me do a quick 180.
If you do it, you deserve to get bullied.
Because overall, wine is good. And a little wine snobbery can be good also.
How?
Being into wine is one of the great dad hobbies. One day you will have a model train set in your basement, complete with a little walking path and the grass just right. The best part about this hobby is building the thing, getting it just perfect, and then making people sit there while you explain the little trains in excruciating detail of how they work. Now the fun of Warhammer, that's when you save up for the little space marine man, you take him out of the packet, You put on a podcast with some Warhammer in the background.
Of all the Primarchs, Horus is the best kisser.
And you slowly paint it yourself. And then you argue with your mates later about why the Necrophiles are the best race. There are people that spend like tens of thousands of dollars on coffee machines and equipment.
True.
And then it takes like an hour to make a coffee. And it's like only 5% better, maybe, than the ones.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess that's the type of shit people go do, right? Just for like that tiny little 1%. They're just those heavy coffee aficionado. If that's what makes you, happy, go for it. But don't be obnoxious about it.
You get at the cafe. Now, I could be Mr.
It's just a
Killjoy and
drink.
come in and go, what's the point of that? Why not just buy it from the cafe? Why not just get a pre-painted Space Marine? Why not have someone else just install the train?
At least because the whole point is that you made yourself, right? It is a part of your own work. It's like, and even if like, yes, thank you, Draco. Just stop at one thing, pizza. It's coffee snob, yes. Like the whole entire point of like painting your Warhammer thing, your Warhammer little figure, painting your own like Gundam plastic model or something like that. The whole point is basically like, even if like you didn't do like 50%, 60% or 70% of the heavy work, or kind of like, building Lego, but at least like you have a part in making it into a complete product or a complete item. It's in your own way. It's kind of like your way of expressing a bit of artistry. So I kind of get it a little bit. It's like the same thing as to why, like, children like coloring books, right? It's part of their way of expressing their own little artists inside of them. A sense of accomplishment. Yeah, exactly.
But then there's no ceremony, there's no fun, there's no hobby. Wine is very similar. They're
Exactly.
getting a little bit too
There's no
obsessive
ceremony, there's no
about
fun.
the thing.
It's part of
and
fun.
being like,
Some lemon zest as well, lemon pith. Super tangy.
is the purpose of wine. It's the fun of wine, which is why wine is better than just some old grape juice. And you fucking wine loser snobs, you know what? You're all right. And that's about it. There's just one last thing left.
Okay.
The practical. Come on, my little nouveau biche. I booked out a whole restaurant. They serve some of the best blue whale caviar here. All right, you did it. You sat through the
Never
whole
been a fan of
video
caviar.
without crying. I think this calls for a toast.
Open
Steady
the
now.
champagne.
Whoop.
Got him.
Uh-oh. I can't believe you killed again. But it's okay. I feel like we're becoming close friends who can keep secrets and stuff. And because we're such close friends, I'm going to keep teaching you things. That's right. You're going to be just like me. I just cannot tell which of this is blood and which wine. By the way, this is the second video. If you haven't seen the first one, which is on Fancy at the Theatre, go look at it over here. But there's also Fancy, the Arts, on Incognito. That's already live. And there's the next Incognito on its way. Do not forget Story Mode. Do not forget Incogni. And do not forget to dream.
That was a good one. Dude, internet story and videos are always so good. Oh man, we'll save it for another time. We'll save it for another time. I don't want to, like, watch the entire historian catalog all in one go. Let's all be honest, right?